They were on a road trip through the Midwest and had been getting along splendidly until this stop at the barber shop. Jenny had a nagging feeling about having to accompany her aunt for a haircut. Jenny sat uncomfortably in the old-fashioned barber shop as her Aunt Gail chatted with the barber. Aunt Gail and the barber, Mr. Wilson, were chatting amiably as he cut her hair very short. Jenny tried to focus on a magazine, having offered to meet her aunt later, but Gail insisted she come along. After what felt like forever, Gail got up from the chair, smiling broadly at her freshly shorn hair. Mr. Wilson brushed the trimmed locks from her shoulders. "What do you think, Jenny?" Aunt Gail asked proudly. "It looks very nice," Jenny said quietly. "Mr. Wilson here did a fabulous job, don't you think?" "Yes, thank you, sir," Jenny mumbled. "And what do you think of Jenny's hair?" Gail asked the barber. "Well, I'd say it could benefit from some time in my chair." Mr. Wilson said pointedly, "I was thinking the same thing." "Her hair is not usually this long," Gail replied. "Then I'd say a good short style is in order for this young lady," the barber declared. Jenny protested, "But Aunt Gail, I just had it trimmed. It's not that long." "I'm afraid it is rather unruly, dear," her aunt countered. Mr. Wilson interjected. "If I may, a tidy bob would do the trick," Gail agreed. "Yes, that sounds perfect." Jenny pleaded weakly, "But it's my hair." "Not for long, I suspect," the barber said firmly. "Please, Aunt Gail," Jenny implored. "Enough, Jenny. It's got to be done," her aunt said sternly. The barber took charge. "Have a seat, miss, and let's get this over with." Jenny sat reluctantly as he fastened the cape snugly around her neck. He started combing through her long locks. "I think your aunt is right. A bob will suit you much better," he said as he picked up his shears. Jenny sat frozen in the barber chair, unable to speak as the scissors swiftly severed her locks. She was helpless to stop Mr. Wilson as he relentlessly chopped away at her hair. Snip by snip, he transformed her previously long tresses into a short bob grazing her ears. "There, that looks so much better," Aunt Gail remarked approvingly, ignoring the tears now streaming down Jenny's face. The barber swept away the pile of shorn hair, then turned Jenny's chair to face the mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back at her, with the severe cropped cut exposing her neck and jawline. "A fine job, Mr. Wilson," Gail said. "You've uncovered such a pretty face. No more hiding behind all that hair." Jenny reached up a shaky hand to feel the shortened strands. This style made her look years younger, like a little girl again. She bit her lip, trying not to cry harder. Unable to speak as the scissors swiftly severed her locks, she was helpless to stop Mr. Wilson as he relentlessly chopped away at her hair. Snip by snip, he transformed her previously long tresses into a short bob grazing her ears. "There, looks so much better," Aunt Gail remarked approvingly, ignoring the tears now streaming down Jenny's face. "Chin up, dear. It will grow back," her aunt offered unsympathetically. The barber swept away the pile of shorn hair, then turned Jenny's chair to face the mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back at her, with the severe, cropped cut exposing her neck and jawline. "Oh, I think she still has long hair. Turn on this clipper. She deserves it," Gail said to the barber. Jenny was shocked. She thought the haircut was over. Mr. Wilson nodded and flicked on the electric clippers without hesitation. Their buzzing filled the air as he brought them to Jenny's nape. She whimpered, squeezing her eyes shut in dismay. The clippers ruthlessly sheared away what little length remained. In moments, her bob was reduced to a fuzz covering her scalp. Jenny's head felt naked and exposed. She finally found her voice. "No, please stop," she cried out. But the barber kept shaving as Gail watched with her arms crossed. "This will teach you to complain," she told Jenny sternly. Jenny could only surrender helplessly to the clippers stripping away the last of her hair. Soon, her head was completely shorn smooth. The barber switched off the buzzing clippers and stepped back to inspect his work. Jenny sat in the barber chair, utterly defeated, her head shorn completely bald by the unrelenting clippers. "Much better," the barber declared, as Jenny's shoulders shook with sobs, her hands reaching up to feel nothing but soft fuzz where her hair had been. But Mr. Wilson was not done yet. He took his scissors and trimmed the short fuzz even closer, cutting what little hair remained down to the scalp. Then he spread shaving cream over the back of Jenny's neck and around her nape. She flinched at the feel of the cold foam. With short, precise strokes, the barber shaved away the last traces of stubble on her neck and nape with a straight razor, leaving the area perfectly smooth and bare. Jenny sat motionless, too numb to even protest anymore. When he finished, he toweled off the remaining cream. Jenny's head and neck were now completely bald and shaven, stripped of every last hair. "There, all smooth and tidy," the barber proclaimed. Jenny sat numbly in the barber chair, her head completely shorn and shaved bare under Aunt Gail's harsh orders. Aunt Gail smiled approvingly at the barber. "Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I'm sure this lesson in obedience will serve Jenny well." As Jenny slowly stood up, Mr. Wilson removed the smock from around her shoulders and causing a fresh shower of shorn hair to cascade down her front. She wanted to scream in protest, but was too afraid of incurring her aunt's wrath again. Tears streamed down Jenny's cheeks as she reached up to feel her naked scalp. Aunt Gail chuckled and said sternly, "You will shave your head every time I come here, from now on." Jenny's eyes widened in dismay. Her aunt started laughing harder at her crestfallen reaction. "I told you a haircut was in order, but you refused to listen," Gail ridiculed. "Now you will be keeping this bald look for a long time." Jenny could only sob softly, running her hands over her smooth, bare head. The reality sank in that she would be forced to keep shaving off any hair that dared grow back. All for defying her aunt's authority. Jenny walked out of the barbershop completely bald, led by her domineering Aunt Gail. She was numb after having her head shaved and shorn under her aunt's orders. As Gail led the weeping, bald girl outside, she warned sternly, "Next time, I may just have him use the razor directly on that stubborn head of yours." Jenny shuddered, reaching up to feel her smooth, bare scalp. She knew her aunt would make good on that threat. As they reached the car, Gail suddenly stopped and turned to Jenny. "I'm talking to you, girl. What do you think?" she demanded. Jenny kept her eyes downcast, too afraid to make eye contact. I don't know," she mumbled weakly. "You don't know?" Gail mocked. "I think you know very well the lesson you learned today. Do you think it was a mistake to defy me?" Tears welled up in Jenny's eyes once more as she nodded slowly. "Use your words, girl," her aunt commanded. "Yes, it was a mistake," Jenny managed to choke out. "And are you going to disobey me again?" Gail asked sharply. Jenny quickly shook her bald head, causing a few stray hairs to float down from her exposed scalp. "Good," Gail said firmly. "Now get in the car. We have a long drive ahead after your attitude adjustment today." Jenny ducked her shorn head and complied, realizing resistance was no longer an option if she wanted to avoid further humiliation.